Today's video is sponsored by the team over at 𝐂𝐶ryptoconsulting.com. Getting started as a home crypto miner can be intimidating, confusing, or just plain frustrating. Well, the team over at 𝐂𝐶rypto Consulting has you covered. 𝐂𝐶rypto Consulting specializes in professional, personalized crypto mining training courses, from the basics of understanding cryptocurrency to getting started mining. Currently an advanced miner looking to take your crypto mining farm to the next level? 𝐂𝐶rypto Consulting can help. If you would like to see what 𝐂𝐶rypto Consulting is all about, schedule a free 30-minute strategy call with their team using the checkout code �TheHobbyistMiner. Thanks again to the team over at 𝐂𝐶rypto Consulting for sponsoring today's video. What is going on, miners, and welcome back to the Hobbyist Miner channel. Well, we are at it again with Meet the Miner, and this week we have on none other than Rabid Mining. What's going on, Rabid?
Not too much.
Thank you very much for coming on. I do appreciate it. We've been trying to work out our schedules over the last few weeks, but I'm excited to introduce my audience to you if they don't know you already. Are you ready to jump into things?
Yeah, I suppose so.
All right, let's do it. So first off, let's kind of build out our portfolio here, our roster here, learn a little bit about you. So when did you initially get into crypto mining? Because I know that you've been around for quite some time. You're very well versed. You know, many people know of you. So when did you get into it, and how did you get into crypto mining? Was it friends, family? Give us the rundown.
I think it was around 2019, maybe early 2020. And then, I was actually started with a gaming channel, and I was just playing games. And one day a crypto mining video popped up, and I was like, I've heard about this a long time ago. I remember being like, I don't even know how old I was, 18, 19, when Bitcoin first came out. It was under a cent. And I was going to buy some at the time, but I didn't. I was like, whatever.
Dang, right?
And then looking back, yeah, exactly. Looking back now, I'm like, why didn't I? But yeah, I just went in there. I saw a video. I can't remember whose it was. And then after that, I started researching more. I saw a couple of Pandas videos, Son of a Tech. And then I turned my gaming PC into a part-time mining PC. And then that's pretty much how it all started.
So for you, it was actually content creation first before mining, then just with the gaming genre. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. So do you remember anything you mined originally? Like, was it ETH from the get-go, or was there anything else that you remember when you first got into things?
It's kind of a funny story, because I'm a pretty anti NiceHash type of person now that you know about everything. But when I first started, I actually started learning through NiceHash. And I think NiceHash is a good tool, easy to get people going. They didn't have the quick miner back then, but before it was kind of went in NiceHash. I was using their main miner, and it would swap algorithms between 𝐂𝐫𝐿 and Ethereum, little Dagger Hashimoto they called it, and all sorts of different coins that they supported. And then I started noticing like how it switched to each thing. I saw how the value of what I was getting each time went up or down depending on the algorithm it switched to. I didn't really know it was an algorithm at the time. I was just like, what's going on? And then as I watched it more, then I played with overclocks, then re-benchmarking, and it slowly grew from there, seeing how each algorithm affected the GPU differently with overclock settings. And then I just kind of grew and learned how each algorithm kind of worked from there. And then I moved on to finally mining coins on my own. But NiceHash actually started it all, and I think it's still a good tool to give people an idea to see these types of things.
Yeah, it's we'll put it, this could be said good or bad. NiceHash is like a gateway drug. Like, it allows you to, like, friends that aren't tech savvy or family members that aren't tech savvy but have a home PC setup or gaming setup. It's like, here, check this out. You can start this up when you're not, using the computer, let it run, and then you collect some cryptocurrency. And I think it's like, as Bitsby Trippin says, it takes that first deposit to get you hooked. The first time you get at that deposit, it hooks you in. and then it's history from there. So no, a nice hash is a great example of a good method to get forward and get your foot in the door. So let's talk about your crypto mining farm, because I think you have a variety of different hardware. So give us the rundown, and let us know kind of what type of home crypto mining farm you're running.
Well, obviously I got some GPUs. It's a mixture, maybe it's nothing major. I have
Mhm.
altogether maybe around 27 GPUs or something.
Okay.
Uh, 4, 5, 6 3060 Ti's, couple 3070s, 3090. Just because I
Mm.
stood in line all night at Best Buy and I had to leave with something because they're all out
Yeah.
of the non-LHR cards. So I got a
Uh,
3090 there, but it worked for testing purposes
yep.
regardless. Then I got couple of 5700 XTs, 5600 XT, bunch of A2000s, just a nice variety of different cards that I can use for my own personal testing. I got a few ASICs in there, the ETH ones, a KD Box Pro for KDA, and
Wow,
then we
nice.
got the Mini Doge Pro for Litecoin and the script. I had an L7, which I did utilize on HiveOS to drop the power consumption stuff
Yeah.
down to 660 watts. That worked good for a while, but obviously the profitability came down. It burns too much power. It's an old miner. And then we
Mhm.
got a whole bunch of CPUs.
Yeah, a whole bunch of CPUs. So tell us a little bit more about that, because I think that's what really sets you apart as not only a content creator but also a miner, is the fact of like, you seem, when I think of CPU mining, I think of Rabid Mining. Like, you're the first person that usually comes to mind. And I think that's what really sets your channel apart, which is awesome. So give us the rundown. How many CPU mining rigs do you have, and what's the variety of cryptocurrency that you're mining on them?
Currently, I'm up to about 25 CPU mining
Wow.
rigs,
Okay.
counting the recent addition of the 7950X that we just picked up here.
Very
That thing
nice.
is an absolute beast. But I got three 5950Xs, and I think the rest are all 3900Xs. So that's like 18 or 19 of them.
Oh, nice. I have a 3900X in my editing rig right now. I know nothing on the CPU side when it comes to like hardware. Is that decent? Is that a good like one to get started with? Where would you put the 3900X?
Oh, 3900X it's a great CPU for
Okay.
mining. It depends what you mine too. There's a lot of difference here. But like the Ghost Rider algorithm, which is your Raptorium, your Theta now, and Bitorium, stuff like that. The 3900X or 3000 series in general actually gets a little more hash rate over the 5000 series.
Hmm. I did not know that. So 25 CPU mining rigs. Is there one cryptocurrency that you would say that you've mined the most of or the longest of?
Not really. Like the
Okay.
CPUs really picked up when Raptorium came out, and then there's a lot of Ghost Rider forks coming out. And I
Mhm.
do find, depending how you watch them, some of them will just be a you mine it and you'll just lose. But other times when nodes start releasing on them, if it's a Raptorium fork, you can't kind of play the market right because people start to jump in the nodes once the block height hits around 5,000, and then the nodes are released, which drops the 1,000 block reward off of the block side for the miners, but then everyone starts buying the coin to get into those nodes there in order to get that
Got it.
passive income. At that time, you can play the field. If you don't really believe in the project, you could dump those coins and make some nice money for the past month or so of mining. And it like by good money, I mean like $400 a day, almost $5 a CPU.
Whoa. Whoa, wow. Yeah, that's definitely crazy. So we had talked about Nice Hash earlier, and you being the guy that I feel knows the most about CPU mining in the scene, do you recommend Nice Hash for CPU mining, or do you find that that's significantly more profitable to go the route of setting it on your own manually with something like HiveOS or other options?
I highly verge stay away from nice hash
Okay.
with a CPU. Not
Okay.
because it's nice hash, but
Okay.
because unminable, most of these coins that utilize CPU mining, it's you're only mining XMR. The only option you have is Monero, and that's one of the
Okay.
least profitable coins you could mine. So because it's not that Monero is bad. Monero is a good project. It has a ton of hash rate on it from CPUs, but it's
Mhm.
just that there's so much hash rate is there and the price isn't there to match, kind of like what we're seeing with GPUs right now.
Yeah.
And it's just not as profitable. You're still able to cover power with it, but it's not that great. And speaking of Monero, yesterday I actually threw my rigs on XMR to try solo mining. I was like, "Okay, if I hit a
Oh,
block within
nice.
4 or 5 days, I'll be okay." That's about, $20 a day or so,
Yeah.
$2 per CPU. I hit a block in like 22 hours. I was like, awesome.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely good for you. So do you think this is not like a nice hash pump video? I'm just like curious. Would nice hash value from adding more algorithms than some of these newer ones for CPU mining? Or do you don't think it's going to make a difference?
They can try for sure.
Okay.
It definitely help out other people, especially with
Okay.
that profit switching. There are other platforms that already do this much
Oh,
better,
really?
like
Okay.
unminable. It's XMR also, but there's programs like Monero Ocean. It's
hmm
a pool that's designated between, I can't remember what coins they have. It's a bunch of CPU mining algorithms, Raptorium's in there. There's probably like 8 or 9 others. It benchmarks your CPU and it actually profit switches on there, but pays you out in XMR or Monero.
Hmm.
There's a new one that just came out called Raptor Hash. It's doing pretty much the same thing. I don't know if they have the profit switching enabled yet, but you can mine other algorithms that are more profitable than XMR and stuff, but it pays out in something like just Raptorium, hence the name is called Raptor Hash.
Yeah, it's interesting that it sounds like that like see the CPU mining scene is farther along when it comes to profit switching than something like the GPU mining scene. We have nice hash as one option, but that's all hash power marketplace. It's not really true profit switching from our side of the world. There is the new adjustments that were made with like LOL miner, and that's a lot. I saw your video on it, a lot to tweak, but we don't really have a lot of other options. It does sound like the CPU mining scene though has really is leagues ahead of where the GPU mining scene would be with profit switchers.
Well, also, if you think about it, crypto started with a CPU. Bitcoin
Mhm.
originally was mined on a
Yeah.
CPU, then it moved to its GPUs, and then now it moved to its ASICs that's overrun with.
Yeah, so let's talk about hardware purchases. So, give us the rundown. Did you make any leading up to the Ethereum merge, and how about after?
Well, leading up to it, like I like to run the numbers all the time. You've probably seen my spreadsheet.
Yep.
Like you
Oh
still
yeah.
can't predict what a coin is going to do or anything, but we can get a if we know the numbers, we know how much everything's paying out, block times, and so on. We can get a good idea and just guess hash rate, so we can have an accurate idea what's going to happen. So I seen this has happened. I personally haven't purchased any GPUs for probably 6 months or
Okay.
longer. Like I don't know, it's been quite some time. So I have been
Wow.
slowly building into other things like CPUs and stuff because I was expecting this profitability to drop and I expect it to be down for quite some time.
So, on that note, just talking about GPU mining being down in this situation now after the Ethereum merge, let's talk about electric situation. What are you paying at home for your home crypto mining, and how has kind of your current electric rate played into your post Ethereum merge mining strategy?
How much am I paying? Well, too much, but I'm sure everyone's probably saying
Yep.
that.
Yep.
But I'm locked in here. I'm in Alberta, but I'm
Okay.
locked in at 6 cents, but I'm not
Wow.
getting a full 6 cents. So I am at a locked in rate 6 cents, but I also have, I live in the out in the country here, so I'm not in
Okay.
a city or nothing. We have third party distributors, we have
hmm
transmission charges and so on, and they pay X amount based on like variable rates and so on.
Mm,
So I'm really at about 15 cents Canadian. And
okay.
that does work out to not too bad though. I'm better off than some. I'm at 11 cents actually if you worked it out to USD.
Oh, wow. Okay. So still within, you're definitely better off than most. We'll definitely put it that way, which is great, which is awesome and good for you. So how has that electric rate and the current kind of post Ethereum now seen this crypto winter, this bear market? How does that play into what you have now? Is everything still on for you, or are certain rigs turned off? What does that look like?
Well, I have all my GPUs turned off unless, a window opens for something to get a quick
hmm
jump in, possibly sell. I do like to convert a lot of stuff to Bitcoin if it looks profitable at the time. But even with my CPUs at this point, like because I have so many now, if you only had one or two GPUs or one or two CPUs, obviously that's not really going to affect your power price. And,
hmm
you can run it and pay out of pocket. That's not an issue. But as you stack up and you're actually getting more, you really do have to start watching your power prices and coins you mine in order to cover those power costs and stuff. Because I can't pay anything out of pocket. I do use my crypto to pay for the power and everything. So I really
Okay.
have to be picky on things I do mine.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. So as a home crypto miner, how do you handle your heat at home? Because I know for myself, it's always really been a struggle. You have a significantly decent size setup. So how do you manage that?
I actually feel like I'm kind of lucky on my side because
Okay.
I don't know. I have the when I have the door shut downstairs, I just crack a couple windows, and it seems like just the way our house is situated
Hmm.
with a breeze or whatever, that it actually just runs itself. I have my own type of cooling just through the windows, and it just exhales, has nice exhaust by itself.
Wow.
This recent summer, as I added the more CPUs, I did have to get an external fan. I found a nice $50 fan that had 7,000 CFM, only used
Wow,
about
that's a lot.
130 watts.
Yeah.
So I put that in the window. It exhausts. I could just feel the air sucking into the window. So that was enough to keep everything nice and cool. So I didn't really have heat issues like a lot of do. But at the same time, CPUs don't seem to put out as much heat as a lot of
Hmm.
GPUs. And then also, I think you have a ton of GPUs, so a lot more than me.
Hmm.
So maybe if I had a lot more GPUs, I would have ran into more of these issues.
Yeah.
But a few things I did notice, especially coming out of last winter to this winter, is when things start to heat up, you start using more and more power as your resistance starts to, get a
Hmm.
little lower. You're not as resistant as or get higher, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you start using more power. And as things cool down in the winter time, I'm actually down like 800 to 1,000 watts at the wall between my
Wow.
farm to where I am in the summer. So you're also using a lot more
Yeah.
power or a lot less power, you keeping things nice and cool, where some people like to heat their house. But
Hmm.
I have my furnace and stuff. It's nice and efficient. It's a fairly sized house. I find that I save more on money keeping everything cool than I would to use it to heat the place.
Yeah, I just started this past week. I brought because everything's in my shed now. I started bringing in. I've done the thing of like taking a GPU mining rig and putting it in a room, and it's just big and clunky, and But the nice thing is I've started to take some of my gold shells, and bringing them in and just putting like one in every room. And the nice thing is like I'm not saying they heat the house entirely right now, but the nice thing is they put off enough heat that I don't need to. The heater isn't on all the time. Now, granted, it's been cool with all the rain we've gotten down here, so it's been in the 50s. But yeah, we'll see where we make out, and they're not bad. Throwing them on like a dresser here and there or a desk or something like that. They're not as terribly lack of eye appealing like a full 8-card GPU rig. So as you get into winter, then will you use your rigs throughout the home for heating, or no? You just keep them exactly the way it is and actually just crack some windows.
Yeah, I just keep it as is and crack some windows. Usually in the winter, we can get down to like minus 35, 40
Woo!
some degrees here. So it gets pretty chilly down here. I remember a
Yeah.
couple times last winter, I had to come down with a winter jacket just to check on things sometimes.
That's crazy. So outside of GPU mining and CPU mining, are there other types of crypto mining, farming, plotting, anything like that that you're also into or you've tried?
I do have two helium miners, but
Okay.
I'm a lone wolf also. So there's anywhere near me. I think the closest one is about 75, 80 kilometers away. I believe
Wow.
in
Okay.
miles, that's what, like 50 or 60 miles. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure. But they're a long ways away. I was talking to some helium tech guy in Canada here, and he actually sent me out an antenna to try and beam. And I did
Nice.
peg off a helium hotspot like 80 clicks away. And I was like, that's amazing. But then
Yeah.
I moved it to try to move closer to a city that's a little bit closer, and then I could never find it again. So now I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh, no." So now all I'm getting is the 2 miners that are kinda talking back and forth to each other. One's about
that's
a
it.
block and a half away because you need at least 300 meters, but I've
Yeah.
been doing pretty good. Like, some weeks, it's not very good, but the past week or 2, I'm, like, almost at $1 a day, so I don't know, it's pretty crazy.
It's better than GPU mining right now. That's awesome. Which is great. So would you consider crypto mining for you a hobby, an addiction, or a career?
I don't know. I guess a little bit of all three, because I know we
Good
all we
answer. Good answer.
starts as a hobby, and then we move into the addiction where I see, so like right now it's really hard not to buy something else, like,
All
and
right.
move on and expand, and eventually we all want to have, like, that big farm size. So I think it's just a big mixture between all three.
Ah, that's great. That's great. And then, do you do content creation and crypto mining as a day-to-day career, or do you have a separate job that you do, and this is more on the side?
This is a main job application
Oh,
right now, I
great.
should say. I used to, when I was working though, yeah, I would never have time to make videos or anything. I was on drilling rigs, service rigs, being from Alberta. Ever since
Yeah.
I was 18, my whole life pretty much has been away, 12-hour days, 3 weeks on,
Wow.
3 days off, like pretty crazy and hectic type of lifestyle. So I'd have no time to make any videos if I had to go back to that.
Yeah, yeah, I know how it is. I do the full-time career. Thankfully I work from home, so I do have some flexibility. And then doing content creation, and I know your pain. I know that pain. So let's pivot here into some crypto projects. Are there any crypto projects out there that you believe deserve more attention, where you've been, all about it, you've supported it, but it never really got the legs that you thought it would?
I'm not really sure. Like, I've never really followed the blockchains per se. I've mostly
Okay.
just followed like the money trails, what the
Nothing wrong
coin's
with that.
doing, the
Nothing wrong
hash
with that.
rates. That's pretty much all about is following the trails. Now, I do believe there are some coins that have amazing potential moving forward. Obviously, I think everyone does have faith in Ergo and
Mhm,
Flux. They have massive futures, but I just still think they're really young and they still may
mhm.
take a cycle or two before we actually see their full potential. And by cycle, I mean like the Bitcoin 4 year
Yeah.
cycle thing. So it may be 6 years or so before we see some nice big gains there.
Mhm. So let's talk about the Ethereum merge. So did you expect profitability to drop as much as it did when it hit, or was it not a surprise to you?
It's pretty much where I expected it to be. I was actually thinking it'd be a little bit worse, but the
Really? Okay.
unforeseen that we couldn't predict would be, how many people actually shut off. And I think a few
Mhm.
extra people shut off more than I actually thought, but I still think too many people are holding on to that hardware. And this is probably going to
Mhm.
be a fight for 6 months to a year, possibly 2 years, because no one wants to really dump their hardware yet. I still don't
Yep.
think we've seen the big GPU dump happen yet. And then once it does, obviously it's going to be crazy. But people are going to be holding on. And as soon as difficulties start to drop, or it looks like people have gave up, I think everyone's going to be turning on again. And we're going to be in the exact same boat, like right after the merge again. It's going to be quite some time till people realize that things are actually changing.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I even now I know lots of people that are just like, yeah, I powered off my rigs, or they're still off, and it's mainly because of power costs. That the rigs are off right now because the operating cost is too high, and so it creates negative profitability. So, yeah, I'll be very curious to see that. But I do feel like most of the miners I talk to aren't selling. They're just, okay, it's off, and I'll power them back on whenever that is. So I think there's a lot, and I think that's why that speaks to a lot of where the hash rate was before the merge and just around the merge, and then where the hash rate is now. I wouldn't even say it's spread out better and more balanced. I just think a lot more people were like, all right, this isn't just a one-time thing. It's going to be a while and powered down. So I definitely agree with you there. So let's talk about Ethereum POW, or ETHW. Any thoughts, feelings on that project? I know some people are conflicted, some people love it, some people hate it. Just wanted to get your opinion on it.
I'm not 100% sure. I really got to do a little more research on that. Now, originally, when it first, was announced that they're going to
Hmm.
fork, or these guys are going to fork Ethereum into FPO work, proof of work, or whatever,
Hmm.
I was like, you had that Justin Sun, the Tron guy, and then
Yeah.
Pollinix, who was blabbing about being, we were the first guys to list Ethereum, so we're going to be the first to list these. We have
Hmm.
credibility. So honestly, I don't think that had any weight to it. But then I found out later on after the fork went through that I don't know what happened there, but Justin, I don't know if he got fired or quit, but
Yeah,
he
like
was
split.
isn't
Yeah.
part of FW anymore. He's ETF. Him and Pollinix last minute forked and made that ETF coin. And then someone else took over FW. And it looks like
Hmm.
they're really trying to hammer down on dApps and all sorts of stuff. So really, I have no idea what's going to go on. Hopefully it does something. But again, it's just a fork, so we don't know what it's going to do. The whole thing about Ethereum is it just has a massive user base, and without a
Yep.
user base like that, a coin's not going to be able to take over its place.
Yeah, I think it grew as quickly as it did and still has the community behind it because of how big it was and how quickly those teams worked like to get it prepped before the merge. So I think now like that's why it's worth whatever 8, 10, $11, whatever it is now. So yeah, I as I tell people with that project, it's like there's nothing wrong with building a bag around it. Don't put all your faith in it because who knows? It might not even be here in 6 months. You know, we could have the same situation and the project just folds. You never really know, especially when things are, so quickly stood up, which makes sense. So, are there any crypto projects that you mined in the past, CPU, GPU, whatever, that you had a lot of faith in and that died out or folded? And which one was it?
I don't think so. Like everything
Really?
seems to be
Good for
doing what's
you.
supposed to be doing. We're in a down market. Everything's down. So
Yep.
we have to wait to the next bull run to see if any of those actually failed, especially with all the forks coming. Usually
Mm-hmm.
80 to 90% of all these coins that pop out, they're going to fail. They're not going to make it or something's going to happen to them.
Okay. And spec mining. Um, has anything caught your eye more recently that you're like, okay, I could turn this rig on to spec mine this because I think there's some opportunity for yield. Anything that catches your eye?
Well, Meow Coin just pumped today. I believe it hit like
No, I
1 cent
saw
or
that.
something. So that's pretty insane.
Were you mining it? Were you mining it or no?
No, I haven't been. I've had my GPUs off. So
Me
yeah, crazy.
either. I haven't mined it. I feel bad. I saw DJ Mines had like a short on it, like announcing that it hit a penny, and I was like, oh man, this like it reminds me of 𝐂𝐴T𝐴 all over again, where 𝐂𝐴T𝐴 like was like quiet for a while, like just when it came out, and then just all of a sudden went ballistic. So okay, Meow Coin. All right, cool, cool. What do you feel needs to happen or occur for the crypto mining scene to rebound from where we are now? There's no right or wrong answer here.
Do you mean all the markets in general or?
Yeah, just in general, the crypto mining, the cryptocurrency market. What do you think really needs to occur for it to rebound?
Honestly, obviously you need investors and stuff and everything. But how I always look at it, and I find it interesting, some people disagree, some people agree. But following the cycles and everything, looking back, I think we're playing into the exact same cycle as we had in 2013 and
Okay.
2017. So we like look back in 2013, we had a peak. You can't really notice on any charts because it's so small. But Bitcoin
Hmm.
actually went from like I can't remember 90 to $100 up to like $1,100. That's a pretty big bull run back then.
Huge.
And then right
Hmm.
after it, a year from the all-time high to the bottom of the market, it was exactly about 1 year and it fell about 82%. Coming into 2017, we had the same big pump. Obviously, it was bigger. We noticed that one on charts. And that's when a lot of people really started talking about Bitcoin and crypto. And then the same thing happened 1 year from the all time high to the bottom was about 1 year. And all this happened around December. So, and that was about an 84% drop, 2% more than 2013. Now, moving into this market, we're exactly 4 years apart each time. I still think the bottom is probably going to hit the market around December or January, coming up at the bottom
Okay.
this year. Based on the previous percentages, that is about 14K Bitcoin. And then from there, we'll start doing our sideways and upwards trend into a potential start of a bull run sometime end of 2024, mid 2025 is kind of how I see it all playing out.
Hmm, interesting. No, it's great. Great information to know. So last few questions here for you. If someone approached you today and said, hey, I want to get into CPU mining, what would be some starter or just in the door hardware that you would recommend for them?
I'd look for a 3900X, a 5900X, whatever's cheaper. You just look
Okay.
on the used market and get something. Also, for the motherboards to support those, you can use the cheapest motherboards you can find. Now, you don't need to move up to the more expensive X570s and stuff unless you really plan to overclock them CPU rigs. Running efficiently, you don't need any of the heavy VRAMs or nothing. It also a cheaper motherboard. It also uses less power because it doesn't have all those extra fans and cooling within the motherboard.
Mhm.
So you can use that to run nice and efficient rigs with the cheapest power. I think you can build a rig now for maybe 400 bucks Canadian.
Okay, got it. And do you recommend air cooling with CPU mining, or do you recommend AIO? What have you found to be the most efficient?
I would recommend air cooling. And again,
Okay.
they don't get that warm, especially because you're running efficient. You're not overclocking. You're always running at the base clock or lower. So the temperatures are good. But one thing, like looking through previous like gamer video guys
Mhm.
and other things, as well as my own personal experience, is running air cooling is ultimately not as good as, I mean, liquid cooling isn't as good as air cooling, because with an air cooler, it's designed for long types of loads, and liquid cooling is more designed for gamers and stuff where you're seeing voltage
Got it.
spikes and quick access. So as we know, water moves heat faster, so it cools down the CPU faster. But if you're mining 24/7 and it doesn't see a reboot, in a year's time or something, the liquid in that cooler is slowly getting warmer. Think of a hot tub warming up. Eventually,
Yeah.
it'll hit a point where it won't cool anymore. So 24/7 use, I would recommend air.
Ah, it's great justification. See, I didn't even think about that. That's great. So, if someone approached you today and asked, Rabid Mining, is it worth it getting into crypto mining today, September 5th? How would you answer that? October
That's a tough one.
5th.
October 5th. Yeah.
October 5th.
Well, that'd be a tough one. But like just to get in, get started, I say sure, why not? This is a great entry point for any people. This is how you learn how to use crypto. Like you go out there, you
Mhm.
buy crypto, you get crypto scammed. There's a lot of scammers out there trying to get a hold of people. You buy crypto, you don't know how a wallet works, you don't know how an exchange works, you send it to a wrong address and you lose money.
Yep.
Mining crypto opens the gate to test and try. Get one GPU, get one CPU, earn a couple coins, practice just transferring stuff so you're comfortable with it. And I think mining crypto and an entry level is perfect for this. So, yes, I would recommend someone to start on a small scale and just learn how it all works.
Perfect. I love it. Well, guys, that is where we are going to end things off for today. It was a pleasure sitting down and chatting with Rabid Mining here, learning a little bit more about him, his direction, CPU mining. I learned a lot, so I appreciate him joining us. Guys, I'm going to put a link directly down below to his social as well as his YouTube channel. If you're interested in CPU mining, go over there and check him out. That is exactly where I go when it comes down to looking to learn more about CPU mining, and it looks like I have plenty more to learn. Well, Rabid, thank you very much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Alrighty, guys, that's going to wrap things up for today. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. Finally, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.